The wind moved softly across the red plains of Karith, dust rolled across broken stone and old battle wreckage. The sky was wide and violet, and silent ships drifted far above like cold stars. Wounded dragon warrior lay between shattered metal towers. His armor was cracked, dark scales showed through the broken plates, his breath came slow and heavy. His name was Archael, champion of the Ember Fleet. Hunter of star beasts, breaker of pirate armadas across half the galaxy, his name caused fear and respect now. He could barely move hours earlier. A brutal battle had filled the sky. Alien warships had descended like a storm. Energy fire burned the clouds. Dragon warriors fought like living. Comet Sarkle had destroyed 3 cruisers and torn through waves of enemy fighters, but one hidden strike from a gravity lance had thrown him from the sky. His wings had failed, his armor shattered when he struck the ground. Now the battlefield was empty, the enemy fleet had withdrawn. The Ember Fleet had left to regroup. In Orbitacle had been forgotten. His eyes opened, slowly pain moved through his body like fire under his scales. He tried to stand, but his wing folded badly and forced him down again. So, this is how a warrior ends. Lost on a quiet world, the wind answered with silence. Then he heard footsteps, slight steps, across rock and sand, not armored, not careful, just walking. Archael turned his head. Slowly a human girl approached through the dust. She looked young, perhaps 16 cycles by human age. She carried a simple, packed loose dark hair moved in the wind. Her clothes were worn but clean. She saw the massive dragon warrior and stopped for a moment. Neither of them moved. Then she tilted her head and walked closer. Archael spoke with a low, rough voice. Human, leave this place. It is not safe. The girl blinked to talk. Archael stared at her. Yes, she crouched beside him and studied the broken armor. You look hurt. I am dying. She nodded slowly. That makes sense. Archael expected fear or panic instead. The girl opened her pack. Inside were cloth wraps, small metal tools, and bottles of liquid medicine. She looked back at him. Good thing I know how to fix people. Archael let out a weak laugh. Human, I am not people. She shrugged. Everyone is people when they are bleeding. She carefully pulled away pieces of broken armor. Archael winced but did not stop her. The girl cleaned the wounds with steady hands. Her movements were calm and precise. Where did you learn this? Archael asked. Traveling. She said, my father fixes ships. My mother fixes bones. I learned both. She pressed a glowing patch against a deep cut in his side. The device hummed softly and sealed torn flesh. Archael watched in surprise. Your medical tools are strong. These, she said, are the cheap ones. She worked for nearly an hour cleaning wounds, binding cracked scales, repairing armor connectors. Finally, she leaned back and wiped sweat from her forehead. There, you should live. Now Archael tested his breathing. The pain was still there, but weaker. His strength slowly returned. Human, you saved a dragon warrior of the Ember Fleet. The girl smiled. Nice to meet you. Dragon warrior of the Ember Fleet. My name is Miracle. Studied her carefully. Your people rarely travel alone. She sat on a rock and looked toward the purple sky. My colony ship got attacked by raiders last year. Only a few escape pods survived. I have been moving from world to world since then. Archael lowered his head slightly. That is a harsh path. Mira shrugged. You learn fast. When the galaxy tries to eat you, a deep rumble passed across the sky. Both of them looked up. 3 black ships were descending through the clouds. Archael growled. Enemy hunters. Mira stood and shaded her eyes. Friends of yours? No, they hunt dragon warriors for bounty. The ships landed in the distance. Metal doors opened. Armed soldiers marched across the plain. Archael tried to rise, but his wings still struggled. Die, cannot fight yet. Mira looked at the approaching soldiers. How many? At least 20. Arkale said. Heavy weapons. She nodded slowly. That might be enough. Stared at her knowing. The soldiers spread out across the battlefield, scanning with rifles and drones. One of them shouted target. Located energy weapons. Charged. Arkale forced himself forward, trying to shield the girl. Run, human, they will kill you. Mira stepped past him calmly. It is all right. She stretched her shoulders slightly. Arkale noticed something stretching. Air moved differently around her, like heat waves bending light. The soldiers opened fire. Blue energy blasts raced across the plain. Mira moved one step forward faster than Arkale could see. She vanished from one spot and appeared beside the first soldier. Her hand moved once. The armored soldier flew through the air like thrown metal. Another soldier fired. Mira caught the weapon and crushed it in her hand. The metal folded like paper. Arkale stared in shock. More soldiers rushed forward. Mira moved through them like a storm. Every motion was simple and precise. A step, a turn, a single strike. Armor cracked. Weapons shattered. Enemies fell into the dust within seconds. The battlefield was quiet again. 20 soldiers lay scattered across the plain. None could stand. Mira brushed dust from her sleeves. That was louder than I wanted. Arkale could only stare. Human, what are you? She looked confused. Just Myruno. Arkale said slowly. Your strength, your speed, even dragon warriors cannot move like that. She thought for a moment. To right, my parents mentioned something about that. Arkale leaned forward, explaining. Kicked a broken rifle aside and sat on a piece of wreckage. My family is from an old experimental program. Long time ago, humans tried to adapt themselves for high-gravity war worlds. My ancestors were part of its stronger bones. Faster reflexes, energy, absorption. Arkale blinked. Energy, absorption. She nodded. Most weapons only make me tired. Arkale looked across the battlefield. Defeated 20 armed soldiers. Alone. She tilted her head. Was that a lot for most beings in the galaxy? Yes. She smiled slightly. Good to know. A bright light suddenly appeared in the sky. Large shapes descended through the clouds. Dragon ships. The Ember Fleet had returned. Arkale slowly stood to his full height. Mira watched the glowing ships with curiosity. Your friends? Yes, Arkale said. Warriors and commanders stepped out when the ships landed. They rushed toward their fallen champion. Then they stopped when they saw the battlefield. Broken soldiers, crushed weapons. One calm human girl. The dragon commander approached slowly. Arkale. Reporter Kale looked at me. Rath, this human saved my life. The commander studied her carefully. Did you defeat these hunters? Mira shrugged. They started it. The dragon warriors looked at each other in silent amazement. Arkale spoke with deep respect. Commander, I believe this human may be one of the most powerful fighters in the galaxy. Scratched the back of her head. I was mostly just trying to keep him safe. The commander lowered his head slightly toward her. Human. Mira, the Ember Fleet owes you a life debt. She smiled. You are welcome. Arkale looked toward the horizon. A small traveler, fixing wounds on a forgotten battlefield, unaware that she carried strength greater than fleets and armies. The galaxy was full of legends, but sometimes the greatest warriors did not even know they were legends yet.